Hey guys, Ian here. Welcome back to White Pine Living. And today we're doing a really cool series. I'm meeting with all of the candidates that are running for the Ely City Council or trying to get reelected, as the case may be. I've got my friend George Chachas in here today. He's running for, I don't remember what seat are you running for,
C3.
George? C3.
Ely City Council, C3.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, George.
Ian, I've lived here in Ely approximately 66, 67 years.
Wow.
I came to this country as an immigrant. My father was a sheep herder, and we settled in Ely. Attended schools here. From here I went to the University of Nevada for a year.
Wonderful.
At that time I quit, joined the Army, went to Vietnam.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. From there I came back, went to Weber State University where I got my degree in history
Okay.
with a minor in police science. I finished school there, came back. I was going to go into teaching, but unfortunately teaching at times does not pay that much.
No.
So I went to work for Kennecott Copper,
Okay.
started in their security department. Then I went to a fire inspector position and a
Oh.
fire security position.
Wow.
And it worked out well for me.
All of
And
that
then-
was here locally?
here locally. And then as I worked here, I noticed even when I was growing up, there wasn't a whole lot for kids to do. So as a sideline, I opened up an arcade,
Oh, that's cool.
and I called it the Greek Underground.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right now, the Greek Underground is basically just the Greek or the Radio Shack dealership. Community changes, unfortunately, since the mine closed down.
Yeah.
We've shrunk, and we don't have the families, we don't have the kids that we had in the past. So, and technology changes.
Yes.
Where there wasn't amusement games in the home, now from one council to the other, you got all your entertainment at home.
It's true. It's, I don't know. There might be a place for an arcade again someday. Some of these kids are starting to get restless, and who knows?
Well, maybe a club where they can go to. And Caroline Caroline McIntosh, excuse me, is attempting that.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff we're excited to hear about, is what's going on, what's on the horizon, new things people are doing, because it doesn't. I've never thought, ever since I came here, like, this is not a dead town. It's not a dying town. There's some great stuff. There's some great stuff ahead. So, do you have any experience? You talked about the fire inspector and stuff. Do you have any other experience as a leader in Ely?
Well, in working and trying to open up my business, my baptism of fire, so to speak, was unfair taxation.
Ooh.
With my particular business, at one time I was paying close to $500 a month just to be in business because I had amusement games,
Wow.
I had a restaurant, and they were looking at increasing taxes again. So there was a small revolt there. I went to different people, including a cousin of mine who had the local Cadillac Pontiac dealership. And I said, Ted, I need your help. We need to get these business people to cut these taxes down. And he says, George, the taxes are too low to begin with. I said, no, they're not. I'm paying $500, or I will be paying $500. He says, no, you're not. I says, yes, I am.
Oh, he didn't believe
Then
it.
I said, no, he didn't
He
believe
didn't
me.
know.
I said, what are you paying? He said, I don't know, let me check. So we went over to his wall where his business license was posted. $25.
Oh, man.
$25.
No, this is back when?
This was in the late 70s.
No, $500 is no joke back then.
Not to a little businessman and trying to run an arcade.
I'd hate to have to pay that now.
Well, unfortunately, that's where we're at with taxes.
Yeah.
And taxes are needed up to a point, but you need to have value given back to those that are paying it, and
You're
you
right.
need to give value back to your community.
Yeah.
And that's why I stayed involved. When I saw the unfairness, I want to point it out. I want to be loud. I like crowds. I want people to know. And if people in the community don't care, if they don't want to respond, that's the way it is.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the way it is.
And so you've held some other elected positions here in town?
I did. I ran for mayor. I was successful. I ran a second time for mayor, and I was successful.
Wonderful.
There was a position open with the council person that either got sick or left, I can't recall, and I was appointed by the city council at that time to fill that period. I've served on the Tour and Rec Board as a member
Okay.
and as chairman. I've served as vice chairman of the Democratic Central Committee.
Wow.
I've been in the JCs, which was a service group, and unfortunately, as your community changes, so does the desire to join clubs. Right now, if you look at the Elks, which are doing a good job, the Lions, which is coming about, they're slowly coming around.
Yep.
But people are not joiners like they used to be, unfortunately.
Yes, it's yeah. Demographics change, generations change, priorities change.
They do, they do.
It's which is kind of healthy sometimes, as long as we maintain good values. That you know, some of that growth and the change is kind of fun. So
I think it would be good if more people joined these service organizations.
well, I totally agree with you.
You know, if you look at
totally
the age, they're way too old.
Yeah.
And when they're gone, there's nobody
Yeah.
gonna fill in behind.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So you've touched on it a little bit. Tell us about why you're running for the council seat.
I'm running because I think we're losing direction. I've talked out against a couple individuals that I'm not running against.
Okay.
In particular, Mr. Stork and Mr. Flangus. Mr. Flangus has been on the Planning Commission for years. If you look at our community, we're talking one thing and we're doing another.
Okay.
Mr. Stork was street supervisor for a while, and our streets didn't get to where they are now overnight. The emphasis, he did some good things, I'm not going to say he didn't, but when I look at, and we look at what we have in the community now, I think that's lacking. That's not the type of leadership we need. We need a different direction, and we're not getting it.
Okay. So what would you do differently?
If we create rules and regulations, in particular planning,
Okay.
then we need to follow through. We do not need to specifically target some people, hammer them, and look the other way with someone else because of their so-called position in our community. For instance, there was an ordinance on the books regarding fence height.
Okay.
Mr. Flanks is on the Planning Commission. There was an individual down in Central Ely near where I live. His place is not the best kept up.
Okay.
So he put up a fence. He was going to block off the view. They went down there and told him, "Oh, you're doing a good job." He was going to put slats in there. He finished the fence, but unfortunately for him, the fence was 5 foot high. City ordinance says 4 foot, 42 inches. They let him finish, then they cited him, took him to court, fined him $350.
Oh man.
Okay, so we have Mr. Flankus, who sits on the Planning Commission, who's also a member of the Fair and Rec Board, and they fund what I call the Iron Curtain around the city park, which is 6 feet high. If you have an ordinance, then by all means, let's stick with it.
Right. I see.
If you're traveling in that area, as you approach one of the side streets leading into the National Guard Armory, that fence becomes almost like a Venetian blind. The closer you get, it closes off view and it causes a traffic hazard as you approach the road.
I've experienced that.
Okay, okay.
A little
That
tough to
is
get
bad.
around that.
If you look at High Street, between the Jailhouse Motel and the 4 Sevens, we have a parking lot there for the convention center. High Street in that area looks like a bombardier's alley. If we're going to put our best foot forward in this community, then those areas that are impacted by tourism, by people coming for meetings, conventions, by all means, let's clean that up first before we worry about some poor individual down in Central Ely whose fence happened to be 5 foot high.
So you'd be more interested in focusing the efforts of the leadership towards cleaning things up like that, making our roads better, and maybe less on dealing with individuals like
No,
that.
you can talk to individuals, you can ask them to do something,
Yes.
but for crying out loud, don't slap them when they make an effort at least to alleviate some of the problem that they have.
Yeah.
and then turn right around as a governing entity, as a government, what should I say, well, entity and a position of government, and flagrantly put up a fence that's illegal. Mr. Flanka said, well, it's commercial. No, it's not. The Catholic Church, the old Catholic Church across the street, does have a fence, and he pointed that out. That's higher. I said, you're correct. The fence is higher across the street, but what you're forgetting is the Catholic Church came before you and asked for a variance. The variance was granted. Okay? Now, after saying that, for whatever reason, they did go before the city council. And the city council turned them down for a variance. But the fence is still there.
Yeah, it's just kind of,
Not
is
good.
what it is.
Not good.
So do you have, what do you kind of see just ahead of us for Ely, setting all of the regulations and nonsense aside? Do you see industry growth, any particular industry growth coming here that you have a heart for and would like to help?
Ian, I don't. You know, I know that the Hotel Nevada's bringing in the Denny's,
Okay.
which may be good. People identify with franchises as they're traveling through.
Sure.
I understand Love's is putting in a Carl's Jr.
I'm excited
Again,
about this.
another franchise. They're going to be a good addition to the community. But at the same time, some of the smaller businesses may be impacted negatively. Possibly with the advent of them coming in. There's going to be increased traffic, increased interest in stopping in Ely because there's more amenities, and hopefully the overflow will come to the rest of the business community. Also, there's a rumor in that same area by Great Basin Credit Union. There's a possible Hampton Inn coming in.
Oh, okay.
If that happens, that's a good positive sign.
Sure,
When you
absolutely.
look at what La Quinta has done for the community,
Oh, man.
absolutely, if you look at the room tax revenues through the ceiling, doing a good job.
Yeah.
Excellent job.
That's
And that's the kind of investment we need. But in addition to that, you need people to come here, live here, stay here. It's good that these facilities are being built. It's good that we're able to take care of them as they're traveling through.
Right.
But bottom line, we need something else to attract people here and call it their home.
Some growth.
Yes, sir.
I get that. Now, regarding that, I've got a lot of friends. Before I moved here from Carson City, I was heavily connected in the manufacturing industry down there in Carson City, and heavily connected with organizations like the NNBA, organizations that recruit businesses to come from behind the Iron Curtain of California and other places to come to Nevada. And a few of them have been reaching out to me and just sort of kicking, the tires about what it would be like to maybe send some manufacturing companies out this direction. What do you think
Bring them
about that?
on. Bring them in. That's the kind of connections we need. Someone who comes from an area and they know people who have an interest in possibly relocating. We've spent thousands, hundreds of thousands, trying to market, and unfortunately we haven't been successful. We have an industrial park,
We do.
little growth,
Okay.
but no action to speak of.
Sure.
And we appreciate the businesses out there.
Well, yeah, but I would say the main question that I get from those guys is that they'd like to see the possibility of having some railroad. I think there's one that needs to reopen, or possibly some efforts to help restore and really step up the game at the airport, which would give these guys the ability to to bring their products in and out and their supplies and all that.
As far as the airport goes, the county commission is doing a good job of keeping it active, keeping it maintained.
Okay.
At this last commission meeting, they talked about the repaving.
Okay.
And that's a good thing when you consider that we really don't have a carrier coming in our community. That's not my concern. In regards to the railroad, you're going to be a long time coming unless you have a serious client.
Okay.
When the city bought it, we were looking at a possible power plant, maybe
Okay.
two.
Okay.
Those folks had the money to rebuild,
To really do it.
to really do it. The city entered into an agreement with S&S Shortline. They were supposed to get a a percentage back of rental on the track just for storage.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and it's caused some real bitter feelings and some bitter fights, which you may have heard of. The city hasn't seen a dime. The person that rented the track has an income. Part of the agreement was we will supply quarterly or monthly profit and loss statements. I haven't seen any. I don't know if any of the council have seen any. Now, if you have an agreement on rental, and it's been going on for years, where's the revenue? Where are the expenses? How are you going to rebuild that railroad line for anybody's benefit other than one individual or one company?
So if there was a company that had the wherewithal, the resources, and the follow-through to help restore that and be a partner in bringing industry here, you guys would be in support of that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, the present railroad board, without question. The present city council, without question. The present county commission, no, we want that. Unfortunately, we're just not on the doorstep.
I get it. Well, who knows what's out there? There's maybe people watching this, and I'm going to talk to my friends down there and let them know that there's friendly faces here that would support that kind of stuff. So, and you know what? There's been great stuff. You've heard of what's going on at the Reno Tahoe Industrial Center with the Tesla. And you know, we're connected with some of those people, and it's so who knows what could happen out here.
No, that would be good.
That's
would be
awesome,
good.
man. Well, George, thank you for coming on and taking the time. It's kind of a nasty, snowy
that.
day out there. You braved it. But so everybody, the election is coming this coming Tuesday, and then it'll be done. I'm sorry for the short notice. It's just kind of how these things go, but at least they'll remember, and I hope to have you on again.
I appreciate the effort that you're making to inform people. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you.
Cool.
I want to thank
It's
you.
my pleasure, man. We'll see you guys when we have our next candidate on. Have a great day.